So if you guess from the intro, we're going to be taking a look at Kamen Rider OOO, which is a Kamen Rider show that came out in, I think, around 2010, 2011, which follows a character called EG, who is a Kamen Rider who his gimmick is that he has 3 coins that he pops into a belt and he transforms into Kamen Rider OOO. And he can pop different combinations of coins in to change up aspects of his form to give him like strength and all sorts of stuff. Okay, so I watched this show a couple of years ago, and it was actually the first show that I watched, I think, before Kamen Rider 01, and I loved it. It's a really good show, and today I just want to talk about it. Okay, so the plot revolves around EG. He is a bit of a well-traveled young dude. He's spent a lot of his life overseas, and he comes in possession of these coins that allow him to transform into a rider. Okay, he ends up teaming up with one of the best sort of what would you call them, like a buddy cop kind of situation, a character called Ankh. So he is he's basically a floating hand that used to be a full villain called a Greed, and basically he got cast out, and now he's trying to team up with O's to collect these medals, the coins, to basically rebuild himself. The villains of the show are his former friends, also called Greed, and there's a bunch of them. They take different forms, like there's Gluttony. So the villains of the show are looking for these coins as well. They're called the Greed, and they basically, they're greedy. They're trying to like get these coins to basically rule the world. And with the coins, they've got these like silver coins, and they can make turn normal people into these things called yummies, which are I love that name as well. It just is a weird name in English, but so these yummies are the villains. Kind of reminds me of the putties from Power Rangers. But depending on how many coins they give to someone, they can transform them into a villain of the week. Like every episode has a villain. So EG or O's and Ankh have to team up to fight the yummies, collect the coins, stop the villains from getting them, and it's really entertaining. So along the way, they come into contact with different side characters. So there's an organization that knows about these coins, and the head of that organization is one of my favorite kind of bit characters. He doesn't really do a lot in the show, but he's funny. He's like this older guy in a suit. He's always singing some sort of song. He's quite theatrical. He loves singing Happy Birthday. There's always some sort of birthday cake that's being made. He knows a lot about the coins. And he has a young guy that works for him who, at their, organization, they built their own Kamen Rider suit called Kamen Rider Birth. Now it's not as strong as O's, but anyone can wear the suit. So they've got this guy who's also a traveler like O's, who ends up wearing the suit. And so every now and then they'll team up together. The suit's got little gimmicks, like it can change its arms and have like big power arms and like legs and all sorts of power-ups to it, which is kind of fun. It's got a gun that it fires. And so that's a fun like side plot kind of character. What else? We've got there's a doctor called Dr. Maki, Dr. Maki, and he ends up becoming a interesting character later on. I don't really want to spoil it, but he's again a really hilarious villain. He's kind of what would you call him? He's got this little, it's never explained, and I think it's just genius. He's got this tiny little doll that he sort of it's always with him, and it's on his arm or it's on his shoulder. And there's a lot of like comedic moments with this doll because he treats it like an actual, like a baby or like a best friend. It doesn't say anything. And they never explain it, which I find hilarious. So he's got this doll, he's like the serious scientist, and he's doing all these experiments. And there's a bit where...
いつ振り込まれんのかな。いや、催促ってわけじゃないんだけど、ほら、俺もこんだけ貯めなきゃなんねえから。1億は大胆すぎですが、月末に財団話すときはこっち見ようよ。ね。月末に財団の方から話の話の。あ、そうだ。この人形さ、なんでこんなに怖いの？ちょっと。やめー！ちょっといい？
So you're probably at this point asking either A, I've seen the show and I agree with everything he's saying, or B, why should I watch this show? So a lot of the points that I made in the last video still stand. There's a lot of fantastic designs of characters, so visually a really nice show to watch. I actually prefer, compared to 01, I actually much prefer the designs of the villains in this show. They've got a more, they remind me of like older seasons of Kamen Rider, so you've got a lot of more, not realistic, but more, what's the word? Intimidating designs. You've got more like these like kind of like ones that are maybe like part cat, and they've got like realistic cat heads, or they're a bit more intimidating to look at, which I much prefer. I really like the suit design. I think maybe the suit design's better than 01. I do really like 01's suit, but there's something about the what is it? The yellow, the green, red, and black on the O suit that just really stands out, and it's actually the same color scheme as Judge Dredd, so obviously a pretty cool color scheme, but it just really stands out. It's got a nice clean silhouette, and I love all the transformations. Not all of them, some of them look really goofy, but on the whole, I think it's a fantastic idea for a suit. I'm a huge fan of Ankh. I think Ankh is a really cool character. He's got a lot of, because EG or O's is kind of, he's not bland, he's a little bit goofy, and he's kind of, I find at a certain point in the show his character development kind of tapers off, and he's a little bit boring. But Ankh kind of keeps the character of the show up. He's got quite a, I want to say he's a little bit flamboyant, but in like his hair, he's got a very distinct look. He's got a cool color scheme. He's got his glove, and he's very much a good sort of friend / antagonist to EG, and gives a lot of character to the show. How can I forget the theme song? So I found the theme song. Nowadays, I love the theme song. I think it's a great theme song. It's very, it almost reminds me of like ska music, you know, like kind of like reggae sort of. You've got some trumpets and stuff in it. It's really weird. I haven't heard another song like it, and it's fantastic. I'll play a little bit for you now. So if you heard that and you didn't like it, when you've seen that being played 40 times after the start of every episode, it's going to grow on you, and it is a banger. It's truly a banger. Okay, now let's have a little talk about the villains. So I find this show's done a really good job of, and I know Kamen Rider does this a lot, but an ensemble cast of villains that kind of get power-ups, and they're quite distinct characters in their own right. And every time he fights them, there's some like new element to trying to defeat them. Like perhaps they power themselves up with coins or whatever the deal is. But I really love the design of them. I think they're very original. They've got human forms as well, like Ankh. Even though he does possess someone, they've got their own human forms, which I find quite they're good characters, you know. I found, again, I don't want to shit on the show because it's a great show. The villain, the big villain who I'm not going to spoil, but if you've seen the show, you know who I'm talking about, is kind of weird because he kind of comes out of nowhere, and when he's there, he's kind of like, he doesn't have a lot of personality. Even though I do like them, he's kind of a weird villain to pick as the big bad. So that, yeah, it was a bit of a weird kind of almost anticlimactic villain choice. However, I found the last episode a really good finish to the show. It wraps itself up nicely. It leaves it kind of open-ended a little bit. And I know a movie came out recently which I started watching and didn't finish, but I like that you can sort of pick up, and again, that came out, like 10 years after the end of the season, and you can kind of go, oh yeah, it's the characters I really like, I get to see them again in action. I think that's a really nice touch. As I said in my previous review for 01, one of the things that you really need to get past watching Kamen Rider is the first few episodes can be very kid-friendly, which not a bad thing. The show is aimed at kids, but they can be a little bit kiddie. In saying that, I think this is much better than 01. It's not as kiddie at the start. The action's great. It does take a while for OOO to get his abilities, you know, get into the groove of things and everything, but the coins make a good addition to that. Like, you know, they have to switch out the coins, and they've got to be careful not to lose any, because if they lose any, he can't transform. But yeah, the combat's fantastic. But again, CGI, this show's from like 12 years ago now or so. CGI is pretty bad. It's functional, but be prepared to kind of like grin and bear it. I find it really charming. I find it like really cheesy CGI. I find it charming. But if you can get past that, the fights are really cool. There's a lot of kind of, how would you put it? A lot of the fights take place near water. It's got like kind of like a sea theme, kind of like a beach feel to the show, which kind of fits the character of OOO's. And yeah, it's just a really good show. It's a lot more, it's sort of light-hearted. I would say none of the storylines are particularly deep. There's not too much kind of, with 01 you had a lot of like, there was a few like moral dilemmas going on under the surface that you could kind of sink your teeth into a bit. With this, not so much. It's very much a straightforward story, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You've got a few subplots here and there, none of them particularly interesting, but again, combat's really good. The characters are really nice. EG and Ank's sort of challenging relationship is quite, it's a good watch, you know. They start off as kind of a little bit antagonistic, and then they kind of become reluctant friends, and I think that's quite a fun kind of, you see Ank being this villain character, and then he kind of softens up as the show progresses, and at the end of it, you're sort of rooting for him, even though you know what possibly could happen. He is originally a villain. It's built into him, so you'll get to see how that plays out. But yeah, all in all, it's a great show. I do just want to say that I'm looking to do some more videos on Kamen Rider. I've just got to work out which ones. Probably the next one might be Kamen Rider Amazons, because I have watched that season 1 and 2 and I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't, but it did just do a lot for me. I found it really good. So anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment below, tell me what you think. Do you like these videos? The last video actually did really well, so I assume you do like them. But anyway, click that bell icon as well if you want to get notified when I upload a video. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and thank you for watching. Cheers.
次回仮面ライダーオーズは
付きまとわれたらメダル集めの邪魔になる。消しといた方が面倒がない。その欲望を解放しろ。たかが人間も進化したということだ。欲望にまみれて死ねれば本望だろ。これは自業自得だ。